Top US and Chinese officials will meet next week in Anchorage, Alaska. It will be the first high-level in-person contact between the two countries under the Biden administration. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will hold talks with China's most senior foreign policy official, Jiechi, and Foreign Minister Wang. And this comes as Beijing indicated today that it is keen to pursue better relations with Washington, even as many points of tensions remain. Now let's get the latest from Simon Mark speaking to us from Washington, D.C. Simon, this meeting, is it the first sign of thawing tensions between the two countries?
I think the view broadly held by the Washington foreign policy community, Steve, is that it's a little too early to tell. Certainly it is a positive that there's going to be a face-to-face meeting in Anchorage, Alaska next week. The Secretary of State, of course, will be on his way back to Washington, D.C. from a trip that he and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will be making to Japan and South Korea. And U.S. officials say that the intent is to communicate to those Chinese officials that the Biden administration will be marching, as they put it, in lockstep with America's allies and partners in the Asia-Pacific region when it comes to approaching China. Certainly, a face-to-face meeting at some point had to happen. It is happening within the first 100 days of President Biden's administration, and that is notable. But there is so much on the agenda and so much disagreement on so many areas of policy between Washington and Beijing, inherited in large part by President Biden from the much tougher line towards China that the Trump administration was taking, particularly over the last 2 years, that there is no possible way one meeting between these officials can fix everything. All it can do is set the stage for further talks down the line, but it can also serve as an icebreaker, and Anchorage, Alaska may well become the location for that in just a few days' time.
Well, given that both Washington and Beijing then have signaled that they want to work towards improving relations, how is President Biden planning to broker a productive relationship with China while also pressing it on human rights issues?
Well, it's going to be multi-pronged. That's what Biden administration officials have been very clear about. It was just a few days ago that Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the U.S. approach will be competitive when it should be, collaborative when it can be, and adversarial when it must be. The Biden administration, almost as a daily mantra with regards to China and other parts of the world, intones its intention to put human rights firmly on the front burner of American policy. So there is unlikely to be any dilution of criticism for China's handling of the situation in Xinjiang, for other human rights issues that exist within China. But the Chinese know that the Biden administration has indicated they intend that this relationship will function on multiple levels simultaneously. And that, for China, provides them with an opportunity that the Trump administration wasn't necessarily providing them with, particularly in those closing days of Donald Trump's presidency. The rhetoric from people like Secretary of State Antony Pompeo towards Beijing was absolutely blistering. This is an opportunity for something of a reset, albeit a reset within a very constrained area of territory, with the Biden administration indicating that there may be some areas where the two countries can work together, but there are going to be lots of other areas where the Chinese carry on hearing things from Washington that they absolutely reject and don't like.
Anyway, thanks for getting us across it all. Simon Marks speaking to us from the U.S. Capitol.